G'day everyone and welcome to this week's edition of the Melbourne Punter Show. I'm Anthony Jupp and as usual joined by Darren Potter.
Juppy.
Potts and DK. Hello Dan.
Welcome back
Kelly.
DK, good to have you back mate.
Yeah, good to be
I'm
back.
sure the viewers out there have missed your little pieces of gold over the last few weeks, so good to have you back to drop a few in for us and the punters.
Good to be back mate, good to be back. Had a winner in the meantime, which was
yes,
huge.
Gift of Music, well done.
Gift of Music, got the money, so...
and ran another real good race there when he stepped up in grade at Geelong there last week.
Which was good, you know, we just didn't know how they measure up off, and they didn't run any flash time, but it was horrendous conditions when he won his maiden, and they were into it, headwind and everything, and then the day cleared up, so I was sort of, I just want to see how we go up in class, and he ran well, so he's going to try and get him out over a bit of a trip. You know, Michael Walker seems to think he switches off good, and so we're going to, I think he's going to Pakenham next Tuesday on the Poly, and hopefully he steps up, but he's been a bit of fun for a little cheap horse. He's already paid for himself, so...
The project came to fruition with winning the maiden, and you can push on now. I think there's definitely another win in him, isn't it? Just with the figures that he's sort of been...
Yeah, that's right, especially the other day, he got beaten on Flemington 3/4 by some horses who have been running in benchmark 70s and 64s, and it was just good. It was just, you know, it was my decision to buy the horse, and then I asked people to come in, and... I was just wrapped that he won, you know. Like you sort of saw people in, you asking for money every month to pay the bills, and it's been 10 years since I'd had my last winner. I've had horses break down in between, foals die on me. I had to give away a good mare because, you know, horses are expensive when you've got kids and stuff. So I was just, you know, it was great, you know.
Well, we saw you were pleased on racing.com in the interview, and Matty Clark from Betfair.
Yeah, Matty came up and watched it in the stand with me. It was, and people who pot race callers, I mean, what happened there was no course broadcast for some reason, so it was deathly silence, and it was just one bloke yelling out and screaming out in the grandstand, so everyone in the whole track heard me. But it was just weird. It was just surreal. It was rain, and it was. But if you've got no race callers, they just make the atmosphere. So it was great.
So why wasn't there a caller?
It was on racing.com, but the course broadcast went out. The power or something went out, so they've jumped. It was just so the race was running in silence. Yeah. And I started screaming about the 300 when J Mott pulled him to the outside and it looks like he's going to run into it. And so they've obviously Clint Hutchison, they heard me downstairs. So they said, for the interview, Kelvin doesn't like doing the interview, so said, get that lunatic owner who was screaming in the grandstand to give us something to start this miserable day with.
And the bloke who grabbed you, Trav Noonan, he's a fan of the show too. He always comes and says g'day.
He grabbed me before the race, Trav, and I sort of was bit busy, but he said, he's like watching the show. He's a TRP man, so
he's top man. And as the viewers will notice, we're at a much quieter venue today. We had some feedback that the pub was getting a bit loud. So we found possibly the most deserted place on earth. We're out here at Mooney Valley, and thanks to Ben Sproul and everyone, and Alistair and that here at Mooney Valley for letting us film here. They've got a rare Wednesday meeting here this week. They don't have too many midweek meetings here apart from when the night season kicks in. So
what we're saying, Juppy, is if you want background noise and all that, a bit of atmosphere, you go to a pub. If you want desertedville, find a racetrack.
Well, where they don't even bother turning on the audio like they did at Geelong. So we're out here today, boys.
There'll probably be a few more people here on Wednesday, but not a lot.
Yeah, there won't be a whole second. 11 degrees and showers. I don't think there's going to be terribly many here. So,
we had a walk of the track.
Yeah, we went for a bowl around and had a look, and
so look, the track will play well here on Wednesday. It's typical 7-metre rail. I think the on paces will have a bit of an advantage, but particularly in the home straight, it's pretty even. So I don't know if circling and pulling out too wide on the side is going to be helpful, but if you're in a winning position and you get into the home straight, I think they're all going to have their chance. So that sort of says there'll be something of an on-pace advantage, but you're sort of really going to have to watch the races to know exactly how much.
9 races too, so...
Yeah. But they're not big fields, they're only, because of the 7-metre rail, the maximum field's 10, so... Okay. So you're going to... Well, it's 90, still 90 horses.
Yeah.
So and the first 2 races are out of the 1,000-metre chute, so it might swing around a bit as the day progresses, but I wouldn't think it'll be dramatic.
Yeah.
Boys, I was working out there at Flemington on Saturday. There weren't terribly many bookies that won, so you'd have to think that the punters had the better of them there. And there was a question that we'll touch on in the second part, because it was a couple of weeks ago now when he tweeted in to talk a bit more about the robots. There was a couple that the robots got hold of too. So we'll touch on them in the review, and then we'll go a bit deeper in what about the punters in part 2. But
a nice day out there for once, Juppy, because this middle of winter day has been blizzard-like and Arctic conditions. So I said to my old mate Paddy Bett, who's normally tweets out the photos of finals day at Flemington, the water pouring through the betting ring or sleet coming in over the computers, that they got a fine, nice day for once. So.
There was some sunshine. And
how was he, Paddy Bett, after Saturday? Was he in good spirits, was he?
Yeah, much better. Much better.
Well, we were bathed in sunshine for probably the first 2/3 of the card, and then after that, the sun went behind the grandstand. It was back to being freezing again. Yeah. But yeah, it wasn't raining and it wasn't howling a gale, so it was probably the best we could hope for.
So can I just say, like, jumping on again, we walked the track out at Flemington on Thursday, and it was never going to be heavy. So small criticism there to the boys. I don't think they probably would have been better off posting it as a 7 from the start, not. But anyway, that's mine, because by Friday they'd already had it up to an S7, and you go from there. So that was fine. But I just want to say a big thank you to Liam and Tim out at Sandown, and all the track managers.
Marty
they're very accommodating. They're always willing to come and have a chat to us. They actually like us coming out and walking the track.
Jason Kerr, they like the feedback, and we're very thankful that they let us get out there and do it. Liam O'Keefe's been doing a great job there at Flemington, and he's always good to chat to, good Warrnambool boy. So thanks to all those guys. Like, I think they appreciate the feedback that we sort of give them, and they sort of understand. And it also helped us a bit, Pods, hasn't it?
Definitely. It puts you in an excellent frame of mind to do the meeting. You sort of, like Sandown last week, I had some really clear thoughts on the track, and I was sure that, before too long, there was a patch, sort of at least 5 metres off the rail, particularly on the circle, that was going to be better. And once they found it, so for the second half of the card, I focused heavily on horses drawn middle to wide gates, and I think that's the reason why I won last week at Sandown. So I just think now there is an edge in it. Sometimes, like with Flemington on Saturday, I just went into that meeting completely neutral, wasn't worried about where they were drawn. I just thought that every horse will pretty much get its chance, and inside gates were fine there today. It was a good spread. So
that was a funny meeting last Wednesday for bias paranoia, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
And the bloody leaders, they just savage leaders went for the first.
For half an hour, it was like they blew the whistle.
And once baby don't cry, and then deal with it. It was just get as wide as you go down that, down the good part.
Well, in the early races, I'm watching thinking, geez, I thought there'd be horses sitting right out on the outside of the field here that have a real advantage, and it didn't happen in the first 4 races. Then all of a sudden, or 3 races, then baby don't cries out there, and I'm watching thinking, geez, I'm in trouble here because I wasn't on it, and I was on Kinsarchi heavily.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, you rotten thing, you're getting an advantage out there, and I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And the other thing we've sort of got a bit of built-in appreciation for is too, Pods, is how difficult the job is for these boys, because you're just at the mercy of the climate, and they're just doing their best, and they've got whatever resources they have, but they're like the rest of us. They're doing their best, and
can't knock anyone for doing their best, mate.
Yeah, I think a lot of things have happened in the last 12 months that have really helped them, and I really think they're definitely on the right track now.
Yeah.
They're not interfering with it so much, and I think they're not going to succumb to all the pressure to water tracks as much. And so, anyway, I think good times ahead for getting tracks that you're confident about betting on.
We kicked off on Saturday in the first with the Silver Bowl Series final, which was won by Lady Selkirk. She was in the market.
She was one of the good chances in the race. There were like sort of 4 top chances, and it was just a great ride. The ride won the race, and she's going well, and a couple of the other ones didn't really run up to expectations, so it's really not much to say.
Yeah, well, she's from Sir Sagamore. He's just rock solid, isn't he?
Yeah.
It was a terrific run. The Robots hit him 26 into 13. Ooh. He was a good go, and Drill led around one of the 60 kilos, given 6 kilos on the back up to those other tours. But railing all the way with the lightweight, was able to accelerate through. But she's fine.
Yeah.
It's a good family. That family would turn it around, and
and
her and the better one at home. Apparently, so beat her.
Well done, Beatrice. You've always got a better one at home.
Like, where did she win out wide? DK, was it Donald or something like that?
I backed her in a maiden at Ararat. She trotted in, then she went to Edenhope or Coleraine or Casterton, one of those joints.
It might have been, yeah.
Casterton, it might have been Casterton.
Well, one of those wins was really good, and I was like trying to get her in, and I've just been on the wrong side of it, but I've been trying to be on her.
Yeah.
Haven't been able to, and then I spotted her getting knocked over at that Flemington run.
Yeah, you did.
Made her a horse to follow, but then she's won twice, and I haven't been on her.
Yeah, she got beaten in a maiden during the
carnival. She
went
to the bull and ran behind that horse who flew at the bull.
Yes.
Peter Chow
Lord Tennyson.
And
then she came out and won at Casterton, and then got knocked over, and then has won the next 2.
No, she's fine. But so, he's just, again, beetroot. His horses have gone really, really well,
The second race, I don't know whether it's an interesting ride, but it's certainly a discussion point. reasonably solid favourite. He was sort of everyone sort of decided that the price was somewhere in between 5 to 4 and evens, and that's where it did most of its trading. But Daniela Rossa managed to beat it.
Yeah, I think there were early signs. So as soon as the market went up on Thursday or Wednesday, someone was on Betfair straight away trying to lay Euro Angel, which, it's just a bit of a hint that she might have missed a bit of work, or she had a bit of a gap between runs. I mean, who knows what exactly it is, but she raced fresh. She, over-raced the whole way. She wasn't solid at the end of it. She's raced at least 2 lengths below, her first up win. So, she obviously had a margin on that field. Yep. That's why she remained a pretty dominant favourite. But she, there were signs there that she wasn't going to be at her absolute best, and that's how it panned out. So,
well, it's not what about the punters yet, but I'll give you something for what about the punters. If you swerve taking short odds barrier 1, you'll be far better off in the long run. That horse, so that's what did it have, 60 kilos on barrier 1. And one, the previous one at 1, wasn't it? Off midfield, 3 wide travelling, blending into the race down the middle. So, Daniela Rossa was able to build sort of a bit more momentum, and then, I know it paddled and everything, but you're asking a horse to accelerate, not be able to build momentum through with 60 kilos, and you're getting $2.10 or $2.20. Now, Lady Selkirk in race 1 had barrier 1. It had 54 kilos, and so therefore was able to, and it was $7, so you're getting compensation for the alley, and you've only got 54 kilos, you're able to accelerate through. So, you've got 60 kilos, $2.10, and then there's other issues with the backup, and not the 4 weeks between runs and things like that. But
they're all valid points, DK.
Yeah, I just think I've just swerved. That's one thing I've tried not to do, is take short odds inside gates.
For some reason that stable too, when they're really short, they're a bit hard to get a really good handle on.
Yeah.
Again, it's just avoiding that stable at really short odds is probably a good idea.
Yeah, I think it is too, for sure. Yeah. Yep, no. And she's good, Daniela Rossa. She's what's she, 4 from 6 or something?
Yeah, she's good. Just got a real good profile.
And I'm just watching the replay. So they were together at the 150. Then he pulled the stick through to the left. It's the first time I watched all the replays up after I seen this. So P. Maloney pulled the stick through and she really dug in.
Right.
So they were going together, stick through to the left, and she really responded. Like, they weren't coming quick. Like, race 1's a better race, come home quicker, and they've run the same time. But she seemed to really dig in with that left-hand whip. So that was interesting.
It's funny how you can get on the wrong side of a horse. I mean, she got me at Sandown when I was heavily in the data point.
Yeah, I remember that.
Golden Switch, so she got me there. Then I was on her at Flemington, and she was disappointing. And then I've let her go a bit, and I let her go at Sale first up when she was a bit short. And then I was on Euro Angel foolishly there on Saturday. And it's just.
I found when she won a cram in Maiden, that was. So she went right to me, but I know you're right. But so they're both good fillies.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Another one that the bookies copped it on was race 3, where Kalani Kid was 380 into 3. Man, 3 was almost tricky to get by the death.
Race was over after what? 200. When did he find the 1-1? After 200 metres or something, was it?
Race over.
And Beater Will of the 1-1 on the favourite. Yeah, it's game over.
Yeah, and it's Darren Weir, 2,000 metres at Flemington. This is a tip for the punters. It goes for Chris Waller and for Darren Weir. When they've given them a good prep and they give them a little freshen up and a trial in between runs.
Those jumps trials.
In this case, jumps trials. They nearly always produce a peak run on the back of that. So,
well, I don't know.
He was easy to mark favourite. I marked him well shorter than the market at the time, and I think he ended up starting shorter than I marked him. So,
I don't know whether it'll be this season, but he's probably a jumper to look forward to next season if they decide to go down that path. He's got talent.
He's 8-year-old too. He's nice and seasoned and everything, isn't he? So
tough horse, and it was proper jumping conditions down there yesterday at Warrnambool by the look of it.
Yeah. Jimmy Vag is a horse who's really progressing through his grades nicely there. So he's typical staying horse, taking a bit of time to mature and get it all right. But he's gone from a benchmark 58 early in the prep. He's come right through to benchmark 64.70. That was an open handicap.
Yeah.
And he's a line finder. So.
He'll get a lot of benefit out of that 2,000 metre run.
Yep.
He needed that for sure.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So,
And in a camp that can look after the stayers and builds that traditional old school way of just building them up, bringing them along, and just building the profile with them. And as you say, he's a line finder, and he's got that sort of winning culture about him. So, he's a progressive horse.
His stats, I mean, you go look at his stats, Terry O'Sullivan, there, he's always around the top 10 trainers, even though he goes under the radar, I reckon.
Race 4 was the heavily backed Trenchant winning. We were on both pots, but the other one was...
Maybe inexperience, maybe, just when he got down to trying with a 2-horse war, third start in a race, the Futura.
Yeah.
Because he was coming again on the line, right?
Yeah.
I know they were going slow in the end of the race. But
It was really just a bob, so... They're not...
He's a nice horse, Futura.
I had Trenchant on top and we backed it. It was a decent result in the race, but obviously I took $26 and a good place price early about the second horse, and I was riding it pretty hard. But I mean, in the end, like the robot smashed it, and so effectively they were taking $2.20 or whatever when you take their rebates into account. And I think if I'm taking $26 and $7 to place Futura over time, I'll end up in front of that equation. So, for us, it was a happy race.
I was working next to one of the leading rails bookmakers there, and Anthony Dowdy, and I did comment to him after that race that the robots had found that one.
Trenchant?
Yeah.
2.10 every tote.
Yeah. So especially when it's that significantly shorter than what the SP was.
So it's interesting too, because like at last start, when I backed it last start at Flemington, it was third up on the back up out of a fast race with blinkers on. It just had so many positives that day, and like it absolutely peaked. And to me, there was no way it was going to improve. It was just going to hold that mark. So I was sort of, I couldn't mark it any shorter than $3, and I actually expected it to drift. Really, I might have marked it $2.90 or something, but interesting. I mean, I don't know if it was something they saw in the parade or whatever, because it was very late, and they really did. Because it hovered around that $2.83 mark all the way through, and then they just smashed it late.
Race 5 was the All Victorian Sprint Series final. The betting told you there were 2 chances, and they were the 2 that fought the race out.
Yep, they came right away, didn't they?
So, there were more bookies that were just probably on Seek.com at that stage that were...
Would have been if Voodoo Lad did, but that was $1.90 every tote. It was another one they hit late. But I see Weary said they got him, I think, after the race. They said, what do you think of the last favourite? And he said, I've just had a look at him out of the back half an hour after the race. I reckon I was being a bit soft on him.
Right.
So
he paraded that way, DK.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So at Mooney Valley here, he was absolutely spot on off the testing first up run at Warrnambool and everything. He just was perfect here, and he just raced like in the zone, and he paraded in, like at Flemington today. He was nervy. He was sweating up behind. He was walking like a crab. He wouldn't get walking straight. And then in the race, you watch the race. He never really travelled.
No, he didn't. He was when Craig was still. Yenda was already trying to get him going, wasn't he?
So I was actually surprised when he did ping a bit at the 200. So I think that's a really good sign. I think he'll peak again next start, and he'll improve.
Yep. There was margins to third. So
race 6 was the Grand National bumper. So just the Grand National without the hurdles anymore, which was the 2,600 metre Banjo Patterson final, because this used to be Grand National Hurdle Day. Taken out by Master of Arts, beating Bold Sniper, and pretty good run coming up for Wells. I think that was a real nice run from him from a jumping point of view. So, but
his last 2.
Yeah. But
I don't know anything about the jump, but he'll win one of those big jumps, won't he?
I would have thought he'd go very close. The jumps is very deep at the minute, but he'd have to go very close.
He was the best back middle pinner in that race too. I went to Jockey change with Craig and gave him a peach run, but didn't they not get pants, but B or well, I know he had the horse to do it on, but that little sneak up at the 750, just so Araldo, he was there for the sprint home, and then he just out sprinted the Queen's horse. Skull, we've had a beer in. And Wells, they were a bit dour. But B or well, especially. Like you said, that bloke, we spoke about this a couple of months ago, the informed jock making that decision when the pace was about to pick up, but he just got there before the pace picked up.
Just owned it.
Yeah. And as you say, the informed jock, he's obviously full of confidence. When you have got your eye in and you have got confidence, he is willing to make that move because he knows that it's going to come off.
Yeah, and that would have been done in collaboration with Pete Ellis. Yeah. We don't want to let Araldo Jr. because Darren Weir doesn't really like his horses being ridden like that.
No.
He doesn't want him outside the lead at the 600.
No.
So they're just being within striking distance, and so it's got more to come. That horse, I would have thought. He's a typical Weir stayer improver.
He talked after the race about that move, Darren Weird.
Oh, did he?
And
Yeah.
you could tell that it's sort of against the grain for him.
Yeah.
Like that he's sort of been talked into it, and he's accepting that it's, a good idea in those circumstances.
Yeah, that's right.
I think there'll be winners coming out of that race, though. I think it looks a reasonable form race for the Stayers.
He seemed pretty genuine again, the bold sniper, didn't he? He sat outside the lead, but he
settled better.
Yeah.
He wasn't a mongrel. He was, he was sort of...
Yeah, so he might. And Wells is obviously going really well.
If they can teach that bold sniper to settle a little bit better, there's definitely wins in him. Race 7 was the Winter Championship final, and it was taken out by Ian McCall.
Yeah, I made a mess of this race. I mean, our subscribers will know we were on it 2 starts ago to beat a lot of these horses at $26, and she wasn't ready, and she finished over 3 lengths behind them. And then we backed her again against the mares last start, but I just couldn't find a way to get a mark shorter than By the Grace and Jack and Obey and the horses coming out of the Mooney Valley race. But there was something that was telling me in the back of my mind all along that she was the horse to back here, and I just couldn't listen to myself. So it was a bit of a disappointing race to watch, because as it unfolded, I was just looking at it going, you almost expected this to happen. But anyway, and I think you made a good point, we were talking earlier, DK, about Brad probably not being the right sort of rider for Kenjiwood.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So when I saw Kenjiwood sort of sitting up there, I thought, that was Brad. And I thought, gee, we just wrapped him then. We got Killarney kid, just the good runs, producing acceleration, whereas here's a horse, Kenjiwood. And I thought it was a really interesting rider for a horse who needs to be... I'd ride Caitlin Mallion or Jay Fry on this horse, aggressive riders, rather than the B. Rawilly.
Harry? Could they have put Harry Coffey on?
Who's not scared to go far? Someone who's not scared to lead and go at a good tempo. Now, he could have, and Onga Piccolo could have turned that race into a test and had Iggy McCall and Petrology in that sort of...
Yeah, right off the bit, chasing it. Yeah.
Instead, they were just able to blend into the race.
Yeah.
A typical Flemington sort of race, blend down the middle and finish strongly from off midfield.
Thank God Petrology didn't win. I wouldn't have made any difference to me. I would have lost in the race exactly the same thing. But that was that sort of thing is done. I mean, he is just impossible, that horse. He's just a complete and utter thief.
So it was the change of tactics. So he's had the blinkers off. They notified we're going to ride him quieter. He followed Iggy McCall every step of the way. But that's what an enigma he is, Petrology. Yeah.
He'll put in 3 more bad ones and 4 starts in the track. He's when he does his best, he's dangerous. But
speaking of enigmas, we had the AR Crozic Series final, which was race 8. 4th horse Saboog, he's probably the definition of an enigma, isn't he? But it was a good result for us, because Lord Von Costa won. Yeah,
this was a big result for us, because the set was pretty good on Saturday. The betting plan was not quite as good, because probably could have backed Lady Selkirk and didn't, and could have had Rudiger in there and didn't. So we sort of got a bit behind the 8 ball, fought our way back with Killarney Kid, and had a really good result in the 2-year-old race. So we were back in play. And we get to this race, and we had a really good result on Lord Von Costa. So in the previous, at his previous start, Craig Williams rode Spieth. And from the minute they jumped, if you haven't watched the replay of that race, from the minute he jumped on Spieth, he was just staring at where Lord Von Costa was. It was actually quite long odds that day, but Craig Williams had decided that Lord Von Costa was the horse he had to beat and that was going to take him into the race. And Craig followed him everywhere, and Spieth only got him in the last 100 metres, and that on that day, that race matched up really well with the Odyssey Moon race. And obviously after that race, Craig made a real point of getting on this horse, so I was happy to cop the tip. And I said out in the set, and I expected that the gap between Odyssey Moon and Lord Von Costa to narrow, and was just waiting for the support to come for Lord Von Costa. We took $8.50 early in the week, and I thought they'd probably end up starting maybe $3.80 and $5.50, something like that. And as betting's developing, there's just, Lord Von Costa's holding his spot at around the $7 mark, but nothing's changing. And Odyssey Moon's rock solid where he was at sort of $3.60, $3.80 in that area. And then we had the mishap at the barrier with the 2 late scratchings.
That's it. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it just went crunch. And it just happened everywhere. And it was almost like time to be almost after the jump. It was
380. I think it started on Unitab.
It's actually started shorter than Odyssey Moon on the fair. I'm pretty sure that Betfair SP was 4 and 420 in Lord Von Costa, the shorter price.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I reckon I just why did the robots smash it so heavily? I just had a quick look. They love third up.
Yeah,
if they're going to improve one, they love improving one third up. They had the plus jock with the jock on fire.
Yeah.
And the consistency factor. It is a really consistent horse, and consistency factor is one of the big. They've got so many factors we'll talk about later. The robots they factor into the price, but consistency is a significant one, and that horse, he's very, very honest.
And the other thing you mentioned there, DK, is the jock on fire. they seem to really ratchet those ones up. If they've ridden one or two earlier in the day, they want to be with it.
It reminds me of when I used to work at the casino way back, and all the blokes who went broke after seeing 15 reds, and they start doubling up on black. And they're the first blokes to go broke at the casino. Whereas the go is to stick with the red. The 15 reds, 16 reds, go with the roll, go with the run. Don't bet against the trend. The trend is your friend. Yes. That's a big rule.
Yeah, and that's what we've been saying for a little while with the jocks that we've been. That we sort of pick out, isn't it? The ones that are hitting the form, like as I said last week, Matthew Poon. Well, he rode the winner of the last in Adelaide at big odds, and these other jocks that we've been following. Like the reason we're tipping you into them, punters, is because the confidence is there. They're flying along, and the market hasn't caught up to them yet.
And we said on last week's show that the good part about the Jockeys Premiership being a battle is both Dwayne and Craig Williams are very focused, and the other jockeys are trying to knock them off. So we're seeing some really good riding at the moment.
Yeah, no, it is.
Dwayne couldn't have done much more than what he did on Saturday. I mean, you split hairs on a few of the rides, but he was right. He was around the money all day.
Yeah,
and Iggy McCool was perfect. So anyway, and then in the end, the point is that there wasn't a lot between Odyssey Moon and Lord Von Coster on the line, and the Craig Williams ride was probably the difference in the end.
Mm.
Well, Craig Williams finished off the day by winning on Tilapia.
Well, I guess I did that. I mean, I wasn't even going to bet in the last race, but after Iggy McCool won, and it said that form that Tilapia had was a really good base for that race. So I don't want to say form frank because I've said that's a dangerous thing to use as a blanket statement, but it was a case of saying that race that Iggy McCool won, where Tilapia ran second, was a really good preparation for that meeting at Flemington on Saturday. Right. And with Craig on fire, she became a really nice bet in the last race. So I ended up having something on her. I actually recommended everyone in the chat room have 4 units on her as well, but I'd previously said after Lord Von Coster won, I probably won't be doing much in race 9, but we finished in front for the day, so I think everyone left. So I don't know if everyone saw that bet that I put up in the race 9, but I hope someone did.
I didn't get to see it. I couldn't even get the chat room.
And it was the easiest watch you've ever had in your life. For a horse that only ended up winning by half a length, it was just an absolute, you just knew it was going to win.
They've gone, actually, come home best of the day, that race. So they've got her and the good mare in form, Forgerest.
Yep.
She's raced particularly well. She had to work a bit to get outside the lead. Had a good run there with Linda Meach. And they've accelerated away from a good margin of the rest. And just on that, Quinton Scott, I mean, she's racing really well. He had another winner yesterday, Quinny. Another thing he's been going around, Capfa. Speedos didn't do any good yesterday, but his horses are running well, Quinton.
And Linda's been riding real well too. She's ridden a couple of...
I think he traded a winner for us yesterday, Benevenuto.
Benevenuto.
God bless you, Quinny. Good man.
Well, Linda, I mean, just on Linda, she... when we talk about... Well, Ralph does, and we're for it as well, was riding for speed and not position.
Yeah.
So she was on a thing of Peter Morgan's that was 20s to 5s on
Holy Host
Thursday, Friday. Now, they said this was his best run. So it faced the breeze into the headwind last start and compounded a bit late, probably entitled to. So they said, all his best runs will ride it quiet. So we'll ride it quiet today. We'll take a sit, had the white barrier. So she jumped, and she's just sort of waiting to come back, and they're crawling. So she just put it outside the lead.
Yeah.
And it sprinted home, and they outsprinted him, and as soft as it did. So they said, what was the plan? She said, I want to go back. But she said, parking outside the leader in a place like that was like being back. Yeah. So it's just, you don't have to drag them back if there's no speed. Well, if they're having gentle runs in the race, it doesn't really matter where they are.
So I actually sent out a Potts Plays tips in that race. So we were on the second and third horses, right? And Holy Host had no form. There was nothing to hang your hat on, right? Third run for a new stable, so that's where everything's come from. But if punters are wondering how I handle a situation like that, so I'm watching the betting. We've backed a couple of horses in the race, and the 16s and the 13s doesn't bother me. I'm not really taking much notice. Then the second wave comes, 13 and the 10, and I'm looking at all the corporates, and quite a few of them are well under that because they're already holding a stack, and a few places I know were way under it. This ain't going to stop. I need to take out some protection here, so I actually ended up taking $11 and then $9 on the way in, just to get out of the race, without doing too much damage. But it's one of the hardest things to deal with when there's a horse that on form's probably a 50s chance, but all of a sudden it's just wave after wave after wave coming. I mean, at the end, they were taking 420 on the fair when it jumped. So it was just,
And there's been 3 of them in the last week. There was the one that Linda rode for Morgan and Widdowson there on Was that Linda or was that Jake Bayliss? Was that Baby Don't Cry? The one
Baby
that
Don't Cry was R. Bayliss. Was it Jay Bayliss or R. Bayliss?
It was one. But he was the one that was off the map, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then there was the Cindy Alderson one on the Thursday at Pakenham that was 16 into 5, and there was the one that
just
Linda
back on that point of inside draw versus outside draw. You can't do that from the inside draw.
No.
So
exactly.
Baby Don't Cry. And Linda Meach, where she's been holding. She's done a few times and then pinched these races at Cranbourne and get the momentum going.
Yeah.
You can't do that from the inside draw.
No.
You can only do that from wide draws, or you've got options to make decisions, Inside draw,
you have to be where you have to be, yeah. Like it's out of your control in some ways. Well, that'll do us for part one. That was the roundup. We'll be back with part two with What About the Punters?